This is the Real Relay Podcast. We're going to put you on today to George Guay and his show, Just Say Guay. It's a sports podcast where he interviews a bunch of famous athletes, coaches, college stars, all those type of guys. So, George, real quick, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, so I'm George Guay. As Brandon just mentioned, I went to Providence College with Jose, Brandon, who just mentioned me, and Austin. I was originally in their class of 2019, but just graduated last spring in 2020. And I've known everyone on this podcast since the beginning of college, so it's been a great ride, and glad we're doing this.
Yo, hold on, wait a minute. Yo, do this man some justice. Let me redo this for yo. It's the man, the myth, the legend, the guy himself. Just Say Guay. We got George Guay in the fucking building. And this is a podcast where, you know what I mean? It's freely open. Do and say whatever. But, yo, let's give this man a fucking round of applause. The motherfucking vibe right here. You know what I'm saying? That's an intro that I want to see, you know? It's the guy right here. So,
Sure.
What's going on? What's going on, George? Tell me about yourself. What's going on? How you feeling right now?
Feeling good. It seems like we're on the back nine of the pandemic. Glad the weather is hopefully turning for the best soon. Glad that sports are back. And, although we're not in a state, for me, Massachusetts, where fans can be, it's nice seeing places that are suddenly increasing fans. And, hopefully Boston will get back to that soon. Brandon and I went to a game last year to see Chris Dunn against the Bulls. He actually denied us a picture, which was really funny. We're the only people in the whole arena wearing Providence stuff, and he denied us. But that seems like forever ago, first of all. So hopefully get back to that soon.
Yo,
George,
are we canceling Chris Dunn?
I don't think so, because out of the times I've seen him since he's graduated, I think I'm 3 for 4 in terms of, getting to talk to him. So you can't engage him all the time.
George, I caught him in the Seaport. It must have been like 2-3 months ago now, but I think he's got an apartment condo over there. And I passed him and I was like, I think that was Chris. And so I turned and was like, Chris, what's up? And he was, I think, surprised because he was all masked up. Obviously we all were.
Mm-hmm.
But this right after he got snubbed for second team all defense. And so I gave him that little bit. I was like, hey man, I think you should have got second team all defense. And I obviously didn't remember who I was or know who I was, but he's like, that's why you're my guy, and like daps me up and goes. So Jose, I don't even cancel Chris just yet. He's got to play for the Hawks first before we can even start talking about his performance this year.
Yeah, personally, I didn't like him going to Atlanta. And me and Brandon were talking about this when we saw him play, is that, Kobe White kind of took over that point guard role, and Archidiakono is a backup point guard now. It's so funny. I find they're on the same team and had to get along finally.
Right.
But I find in Atlanta it's the same situation. Rondo's the point guard, definitely the backup with Trae Young, and he'll be fighting with Rondo. And I don't think he's going to beat Rondo as much as I like Chris Dunn, but tough situation.
Does he help Atlanta's defense at all, or do you think he doesn't see the court?
I think he'll see the court and help them, but I think I wanted him to go to the Clippers, to be honest. I think him and Pat Beverly would have been a lot of fun.
That would have been a nightmare defensively.
Yeah, man. So, that's a good, start off to, everything we're going to talk about. But George, we typically like kicking it off with like a very open-ended, broad question. Who are you today?
So, George Guay, the host of Just Say Guay, a sports show that actually started for the first time 4 years ago, 5 weeks from today. Started it off during my year off from school. Really wanted to do something that I love, which is talk sports, and that really transcended in Bedford TV. And I don't think I could have had a better situation. I was able to launch the show because the president of Bedford TV was my high school teacher. So, I came with the idea, and it really worked out. And I think going back to Providence College, it couldn't have been a better situation either, because of the fact that I had a lot of people, especially you guys, who supported it before I came back to school. And I think the great thing for me, like you said, Brandon, with the interviews and the athletes, I don't think I could have been in a better school for it, because I think the fact that PC was small and, it's easy to find these people and you bump into them all the time. It's not hard to ask them. I think, if I was at, say, like a big school like Michigan, where you go months without seeing someone, an individual person, it would have been very hard. So that's me. Graduated last spring, working for DraftKings, and still doing the show.
That's awesome, dude. Dude, your story alone of like, I remember we had accounting together and you would always talk about like high school sports and like Bedford and Concord and all that. And Liam was the one who told you, he was like, George, you should just like interview these people you're talking about. Like, you love it so much. And it never like left your head after that. You would always, like when you would see us in like class or like run into us like walking by, you'd always be like, dude, like you guys are like, Liam, you're the reason I started like doing Just Say Guay. Like, I appreciate you so much. Like it was kind of crazy to see how like you listened to like that advice he gave you and like you turned it into something crazy.
Yeah, it was good. I was going to get to that, as we talk about the show's history. And the great thing about that, Liam didn't have to do that. And because he easily could have thought about it as, a small suggestion, but he saw it through. And I think it was good that I heard it from someone that I was close with. I think if it was, someone that I wasn't really friends with, or someone at school that didn't really support the show at all, I think maybe I wouldn't have, took it as seriously. So I think hearing it from someone like Liam was a good thing to hear.
For sure, dude. In terms of, I mean, you kind of already explained how you got here, but like in terms of the name, right? Just Say Guay, obviously Guay is in it, but like, how'd you come up with the name Just Say Guay?
So I don't really exactly remember how it hit like in my head, because it was 4 years ago. But I will say the goal was to come up with a name that, I could have done something very generic like Overtime or The Dugout or, extra innings, something with sports. But I think something with me and my name in it, I think that's what made it more appealing to me when it finally came up.
Real relate. That's pretty generic, in my opinion. You know what I mean? No, but I like that. It's catchy. Just Say Guay. Like that shit rings. Like it slaps for sure. Like that is.
Yeah, because I think also when you hear it, if someone at school heard the name and they'd think, oh, if it's a show, is it George Guay? Because it's not a pretty common last name, so definitely sticks out.
That's true. That's true.
Oh yeah, dude. I really love the name, honestly, just because like the Say and the Guay rhyme is just very catchy. But for those of people that are listening, right? We already talked about it a little bit, like you interviewed like these people. What does that look like? How do you go about reaching out to them? How do you decide who you want to interview? What can you tell us a little bit about the process of like, that outreach and, how you come up with the people you want to interview with?
Yeah, well, there's definitely a research aspect to it. I think you've noticed with my show, a lot of the guys that are coming on are young athletes, whether they're in college or just out of college. So a lot of it is just me looking up the mock drafts of seasons, who's going to get picked next year or a year from now. Because who knows, someone who gets picked in the first round this year, especially in a league like the NHL where the young guys thrive, who knows what he does? Maybe he scores a huge goal in the Stanley Cup final or something. And, when he does that, that's tied to the show. I do say it's harder to reach out to some people than others. Some people like who have, say, 50,000 followers, they won't see my message. So you kind of got to go for the people who don't have a big social media following. And one of my smaller strategies is messaging the people that are in their photos because they have less followers. So that's only worked out a few times, but yeah, that's how I do it. It's a lot of researching and a lot of deciding of, is this person reachable? I kind of make a rule on anything past about 70,000 followers, I don't reach out to them, or I reach out to someone that they know.
George, who's the hardest to track down? Someone that you've got on the pod, and then who's the person that you're still looking to get that's like your golden goose, like you need to get this person on?
That's a good question. I would say the hardest person, because it took the longest actually, and it still hasn't happened, was Nate Robinson. Um,
No
here's
way. You serious right now?
so here's what happened. I got in contact with his. A lot of the times, these athletes that are retired, they put an ad on their Instagram, their management team or their marketing team or their agent. They say, please contact them for business inquiries. So I contact this guy. His name is Polo. He's Nate Robinson's manager. And this is in May. And he's saying, Nate Robinson can't do it. He's training for the fight. He's training for the fight against, was it Logan or Jake Paul?
It doesn't matter.
You guys know where
man's
this is going.
my man.
Every day he was like, Nate's training. He can't talk to you. And I'm like,
he's training, all right.
And I was like, so I'm not a huge boxing guy. Like, I'd say when someone on Eaton Street had a projector in their house, I'd go, or, when it was Mayweather versus Pacquiao, when it was talked about for 2 years, I watched it, but I don't follow it. And someone texted me, hey, did you see Nate Robinson got knocked out? And I was just thinking, this is horrible, because this guy fed me for 6 months. He can't talk. And he fights for the first time and gets knocked out. But yeah, that's definitely one of the harder ones. People that are still in the works, I forget how to pronounce his name, but his name is Laurent. He's from Quebec, but he's an offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he has his doctorate in medicine, and he backed out of this year to go back to Canada, and he helped people with COVID.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
He won Sports Illustrated Person of the Year for what he's done off the field. And I think it's one thing to back out of the season to go help people, but especially a team like Kansas City where, you can win the Super Bowl, they were right there, and who knows, maybe if they had him, they could have won, but the fact that he stepped away from that, I think was pretty cool. But I think the hardest thing with guests is after I interview them is to ask them, hey, can you refer me to this person? Because I don't know if you have heard of this episode, Brandon. I know you saw I interviewed the Lakers assistant coach. And right after I interviewed him, everyone was saying, you got to get LeBron or Anthony Davis on. And I think that's just being greedy and asking too much. So I think that's the hardest part with the show now, is knowing when's that line to, ask, hey, can you refer me to someone? Back in the spring, I interviewed Garrett Crochet, who's a pitcher for the White Sox. He got drafted last year. The reason why I didn't think it was too much of an ask was because I interviewed his teammate and knew him through Cape Cod baseball. So because I had that built-in relationship with him, and Garrett really hadn't taken off as an elite pitcher yet in the leagues, and it was his first year, I felt more comfortable doing that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I find a lot of similarities right now between like you and, I don't know if you've seen the episode with Jared Magazine, Normal Guy, Lazy Guy.
Yep.
You guys have like kind of a similar thing where you guys are like looking to reach out to like, not like famous people, like super famous, but like, they got a following, they're known for something. And you guys have a similar process of like, okay, I'm going to DM them, try to get in where I fit in type of thing and get them on. So it's cool seeing like the similarities between you and Jared.
Yeah, he's doing great. And, I give him a lot of credit. He's bringing on a wide variety of people. I'm just, sports people who are in their 19 to mid 20s, and it's all sports. The fact that he's doing seems like something new in terms of who the person is every time. You got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Another question. Out of everybody you've had on in the past 4 years, who's been your favorite guest?
I'm going to give you a few, actually. I saw some of the questions. And,
top three, just top.
So yeah, they're all important, because each guest led to another one, and, each person's been more comfortable doing it because someone else came on in the past to the show, and that led to another guest. But I'm going to go number one, Kyle Draper. He is the former Celtics halftime show host, and now he's in Sacramento. Brandon, you met him last spring.
Yep, I remember that.
That was the most important, I think, because of the fact that he was one of my idols growing up, and he was the first guest on the show. And I think that once I interviewed him, I felt comfortable with anyone. And I never thought I would be talking about the Celtics with him and having fun with it. And I think that was huge. The second one, I'm going to go with S.J. Tui from The Blind Side and story. He's Michael Orr's younger brother. And I think, honestly, the reason for that is because it's one of my favorite sports movies. And if you told me, I think the movie was released in 2009 or 2010, that I'd be sitting down with him talking about The Blind Side, I'd say you're crazy. And I think my favorite part of that is because when I asked him about the movie, he just shot down everything about the movie that was him and said it was all Hollywood. He said, he never went to his brother's practices. He didn't know him in school until, his family brought him into the house. So I had like 6 or 7 questions about the movie, and he kind of answered it all in 10 seconds. So that was a cool moment. And I would say the third interview would be Brian Pino, who is a forward for the Washington Capitals. He played at Providence College. He was a captain. And I think just the reason for that is because I think the Capitals are my favorite sports team. And the fact I was able to have someone on that's associated with it was very big. So I think that's my top 3.
Okay, nice. I mean, that's a very diverse, different, people that you mentioned. Like, one was like a movie actor. The other was like your idol broadcaster. So it's a good mix of people there. So I like that.
Quick thing. It was Jake Paul. He's 2-0, and he knocked out Nate Robinson.
Isn't he fighting Floyd?
He wants to fight McGregor. That's the thing. There's a big online media, it's a whole YouTube thing that's going on.
Yeah.
Right now.
So you really got to think it's definitely, is it worth the money? He's going to get paid no matter what.
I mean, he's 2-0. So he's he at the end of the day, like he said, he got nothing to lose. He's a YouTuber, he's a professional.
I know. He had the guts to step in the ring with an animal. So yeah, he's got nothing to lose. He's going to get a lot of money no matter what happens.
Yeah.
If there's money to be made, right? You might as well go do it. I think back to George, you're talking about projectors on Eaton Street, talking about the McGregor Mayweather fight and how much money they walked away with as soon as the bell rung, and then they both walked out. Yeah. Millions of dollars.
That thing only lasted five rounds.
Yeah, it was nothing.
It's more than I last. The last maybe half.
There you go.
Whatchamacallit? That I really admire you, George, because even just the way you talk and the way you say things is to going back to your comment earlier about you don't talk to anyone more than 70K. Fuck it, bro, just do it. You know what I mean? What's the worst that's gonna happen?
I reach out. I think the right thing to say was I don't expect much in return.
Yeah, I mean, still always try, bro, because you never know. You know what I mean? A lot of people, like you said, I've looked at personally, we have outreach and stuff like that, real relate, and I see for example, Pierre Bourne or something like that, or someone from some sort of artist or whatever, they'll have the bookings and stuff like that in the bio and stuff like that. Just reach out because you never know. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Always. That's definitely my fuck it. You never know because someone might look at it one day and be like, boom, and then hit you up. So always.
Yeah. And a lot of them have social media managers. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So you just I like that you always try and you always keep going. You persevere through it, and you always. That's what I admire about you a lot is that you always keep going no matter what. And damn, bro, I get tired sometimes, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I be sitting in the corner damn, am I really that loud? You know what I mean? Am I really that loud?
Yeah, no. The only thing that bothers me is this happened this past week is when you hear back from them. There were times I reached out. There's this guy. His name's David Alexander. He runs a athlete training facility in Miami. I'll give a bunch of names: LeBron James, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, Melvin Ingram, Donovan Mitchell. He trains them all. So I think he benefits a bit. He's definitely a genius, how he trains them all, but obviously benefits because those guys want to go down to Miami, but he wrote back to me like 2 weeks ago saying, I'm not doing podcasts right now. And he released one like 3 days ago with someone who had about 500 followers. So I don't know. Those are the tough moments. If you don't, I try not to take it personal, but I got to know if he got paid to do that appearance, but that's definitely one of the tougher parts.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, George, how many have you done? How many podcasts have you done to date, or how many episodes have you done to date, rather?
So episodes total, including when I just talked about sports, over about 120.
Yeah, we're on 5.
It's been 4 years, man. So it's like 25 a year. Like you're gonna get to it.
I can't, man, dude. It's hard pumping these out. It's hard pumping these shits out, man. You got one person. I want to get paid for this. I want to get paid for that. I want to do this. I want to do that. Everybody's got fucking jobs and real careers that are going on. Like, this is a side project, passion project for us. It's hard to pump these out, bro. Doing the thumbnail for YouTube, doing the IG, doing everything. It's a lot, bro. I see why. I see. No,
I think I had a bit of a decent start, though. Like I said, the time off from school and coming back at school, there were times I was putting more into this than school during certain semesters. I mean, obviously, I was able to balance school, but there were definitely times when I was thinking, man, I feel like this is more important at times.
Man, for real, man. I mean, the goal is to one day eventually, like, this is the new wave and the new generation of starting shit up. You know what I mean? Like on YouTube, on social media, like this is the new wave, and hopefully one day we're the pioneers of that wave, and eventually, it's gonna take off. But that's why we believe in you as a group. You know what I mean? So
thanks. Yeah, that's the great thing about it. Anyone, it's open to everyone. Everyone can get their equipment or a camera and just hit record. It's a great thing about it.
Yeah, that's what's really good about it. Anyone could hop on really and do it, but not many people do because it's very like intimidating to talk on here and be personal and put yourself out there. That's why I realized like a lot of people say there's a million people that have done it, but not many people have actually sat down and actually done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta give each other credit. You know what I mean? That's because some people can't even press play.
Well, Jose, to go off that a little bit, George, like you've done 120 episodes and you're still plugging. Is there anything that makes you nervous still about it? Do you still get like, when you're trying to put all the pieces together and do it, do you get nervous when you jump on an episode with someone when you're getting ready to interview?
I think it depends. I mean, if I absolutely have no clue I've never talked to them at all, or, a lot of the people who I bring on that I don't know or haven't personally met, we talk about the episode and, their life before I generate the questions. But, before I interviewed the Lakers coach, there was no, it was just, hey, you want to come on my show? And he said, sure, this time, ready. And I'd never even seen him before. So yeah, I do get nervous about that. I think the only thing I worry about is, especially in a time like this, where's it going? I think when I was at school and doing the episodes and, had the internship at NBC, that was a lot of fun. And I knew I was working towards that. So I think now that I'm, more so not in college anymore, and there's that uncertainty with COVID just happening, it's kind of hard wondering, where's the next stop on the train.
Yeah, I agree, dude. That's like, I think about that every day, and I'm only 5 episodes deep. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're laughing, but it's actually true. I think about this all the time. I think about like, cause you're 120 episodes in, like that's a lot. I always think that's the type of person I am too. I have, we have a phenomenal team here, and I trust every single one here. And I always think about, like you said, like what's the next move? What's the next plan? How do you take it to the next level? What's the next, how do you bring it to the next thing? Because you don't want to be stuck on this like same level, but how do you challenge yourself? How do you open new doors? You know what I mean? So that's why I said, just keep going and keep grinding and don't stop,
Yeah, no, I think that, Jose, I think I had those kind of moments when the show was starting. I think because I kept going back to Bedford TV because I wasn't at school. And I think I was having those thoughts like, when I go back to school, I'm not going to be able to go to Bedford TV all the time. distance away from school. You know, what do I do? And, you know, sometimes you just have to adapt. And it was tough. You know, when I first got back to school, I wanted to do the show through PCTV. And the hard thing was they said, we can't make the show all about you. And I said, well, you know, the show's called Just Say Guay. And, you know, thank God Liam had that idea, because there was a 3 to 4 month gap where I'd go home back to Bedford once a month and just pump out a show. But it wasn't like the old times when it was just, you know, a show or 2 a week or 3 a week, or who knows how many I wanted to do. So I think the biggest thing is, you know, you definitely got to be open to new ideas, and, you know, things can change.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows, if someone on the outside who's watching your show could come up with a show-changing idea, and you know, you really appreciate it for as long as you continue the show.
Exactly, and fuck them too. So I feel that, you know what I mean. And in a sense, it's like, it's kind of glad they closed that door on you, because now it opened another door to go somewhere else and do your own thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, that was it when I got back to school. I'm still in contact with the people who started the show, and I'll have that thankfulness forever that they got it going.
Yeah, but George is like, yo, show them mad love, though. Mad love, right? But no, for real. No, I say fuck them in the most loveliest way possible. I feel that, too, because I get the idea from, you know, the interview idea. A good friend of mine named Paul Kelly, he gave me the idea to kind of interview people like this as well, too. And a lot of good friends of mine that are on the back end, that are either part of the internal team or, like, just part of the Real Relay family, that give me the ideas to do this stuff all the time. And we have, you know, so I feel you, you know what I mean, as creatives on both sides. So I feel that for sure.
George, in a perfect world, where do you hope this takes you? Because I know, like, we won't dive into too much of your employment now, but do you see this being the page, the videos you're shooting, as a vehicle to maybe taking that next step into broadcasting? In a perfect world, like, what's George doing in 10 years? It doesn't relate to what you're doing now.
I would love, you know, the goal is to be, you know, a sports analyst. I'd love to be on the radio or a halftime show or the game show before it starts. You know, people always joke with me. They say, "Oh, what about the show gets bought out by Barstool?" I don't think that's going to happen.
That'd be lit. That'd be fucking lit.
I don't think I have that personality to be on.
I think you do. I think that would be fucking lit, though. Don't count yourself.
I got to bring on someone else. There has to be other people. You know, it's those shows have Pardon My Take, Section 10 podcast, all those shows, and they give advice on sports gambling. Like, they all have multiple people. You know, I'm on my own, so I think, you know, it could happen, but it's just it's funny. Like, I watch those guys. Have you guys heard of Section 10?
Not.
No.
So it's a podcast with 3 guys from Barstool, and they pretty much can interview anyone. It's all about the Red Sox. So
okay.
And they can get anyone they want, and it's really fascinating. Like, last week they had Dustin Pedroia, and then they had the Red Sox GM. But the thing is, they play like the questions like gotcha, like, hey, tell me now what you think. Like, so they interviewed the Red Sox GM, and the first question was, why'd you trade Mookie Betts? And that's just not the first, like, hey, how did you get your job with the Red Sox? Being a nice person, why'd you trade him? And it's just, I don't know if I could do something like that. But obviously those guys, they had their starting point like I did, and they evolved and got noticed. So yeah, hopefully being a sports analyst one day, and, you know, taking it from the Zoom to the TV, hopefully.
I want your own. I want you to have, like, your own thing. You know what I mean? I don't want you to be signed to nobody. I want you to get your own royalties, your own shit. You know what I mean? I'm a tag Dave Portnoy and be like, yo, sign him, and then give him his own shit and let him do his own shit. You know what I mean? So fuck it. But I believe in that, bro. Do your own shit. Be your own entrepreneur. I like that, bro. I love that you have a goal and a vision, and you know exactly what you want. And that's dope. I fuck with that.
Appreciate that.
I'm like, there's some days where I want to be a zookeeper, and then there's some days where I want to be, like, on a podcast. So it switches, like, every other day.
You could do a podcast about being at the zoo, though.
Hey, now you're thinking. Hey.
You can just go. You can go from zoo to zoo.
My life is zoo. My life a movie. But
I feel like this. You know, the map was really bad. The animals didn't come near me when I tried to feed them. Like, you could You can
Yeah.
go
Jose's
off
trying
on
to do
Zeus.
Jose's trying to do music reviews with the giraffes and the
Yeah.
elephants.
Me, we
Certified
got,
lover
we got,
boys. What do you think? What do you
we
think?
got, we got me and Drake in the zoo talking to like fucking zebras and shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That'd be fucking
Certified
hilarious.
certified nature boy.
Yeah. What was that movie? What was that movie with that fucking guy? Paul Blart Mall Cop, but didn't he do a movie in the zoo?
Zookeeper.
Zookeeper.
Yeah,
Yeah. That shit was lit,
I
bro.
thought you're going like Dr. Doolittle, like Eddie Murphy area.
No, 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 no,
You
no, no.
spun
no,
you spun somewhere
Zookeeper,
totally
you know,
different.
that's here in Boston, you know, Franklin Park. It's
Yeah,
represent.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. We gotta pop that off. That's lit, bro. But for sure, for sure. But yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah, dude. All right, so I want to talk Boston sports, bro. George, this is what I was waiting for. Tell me the state. Let's start with the Celtics. The Celtics is like what I want to talk about first. Then we can go into like everything else, like the Pats and the Red Sox and all that. The Bruins.
I think after yesterday, Tatum scoring 6 points, you know, I think it seemed like he kind of quit in the game. I'm not saying he quits every game, but it seemed like he didn't care yesterday. You can't lose to the Wizards. You know, I see losing to the Jazz or the San Antonio Spurs who can squeak in the playoffs, but can't lose to the Wizards, especially when their biggest superstar is checked out of Bradley Beal. But I think the East is going to be harder than last year. You know, I think obviously Brooklyn I think is the favorite. Philly's better. I think Doc Rivers is getting the best out of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. But the thing I hate about the Celtics is that I think they haven't progressed in the last 3 years. Everyone just kind of seems okay that they hope Tatum and Brown will just evolve and they'll grow into top 10 players. You know, I think that Tatum could be a top 10, top 5 player, but I don't know if Brown could be. And I think the hard part about the Celtics is after those two guys, their roster is a steep drop off. You know, they lost Gordon Hayward. I know people said he couldn't fit in. I was one of those people. I was wrong. They should have gotten Miles Turner. But, you know, I think the weird thing about the Celtics, Austin, you're a big Celtics guy?
See, it's funny because I was kind of an NBA nomad for a long time. I'm a New York sports fan, like through and through,
Okay.
but I can't bring myself to like the Knicks. And then the Nets were horrible when I first was on the come up for the NBA. But my roommates here are possibly the biggest Celtics fans. So I've been on the train for the past, call it 4 or 5 months. So I could talk it with you. What do you got for me?
So when you turn on sports radio, or anything, it seems like the Celtics have the least amount of pressure out of any team in town. You know, the Patriots just went 7-9 and watched Tom Brady win the Super Bowl, and they're getting an ass kicking by the fans in town. Red Sox, people are on them all over every day of the year, especially now after trading Mookie Betts and seeing him win a World Series. And I just think the Celtics, you know, they've gone to 3 out of 4 Eastern Conference Finals, and no one's put the pressure on them to get to the next step. So that's my thought. I don't see them getting back to the East Finals this year. I think they're going to go out in the second round. And it's really sad because 2 years when they had Kyrie, Gordon, Horford, and all those guys, people were complaining that they had too much talent. And now it's a narrative of they don't have enough talent. So I find that Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge, they get the longest leash out of any teams in Boston. I want to see them win another championship. And I think the hard thing is you see NBA players move around so much now. You know, who knows? Maybe Tatum gets sick of it here and wants to trade. And, you know, it could happen. You know, we're not going to be able to keep him here for 15 years like Paul Pierce. So that's my thought on the Celtics.
Yeah, but potential is the worst word in sports, right? And I think that's why the Celtics get such a long leash is because the roster's still so young, right? And you look at Tatum and Brown, and I agree that the plateau has been there for the past 3 years now. But you go, wow, maybe there's so much more in the tank for them to, you know, make that next jump. And it's tough. And I'm curious your take. I'll move away from those two players and talk about Brad a little bit more. But Brad plugs and plays throughout the whole season, right? That's like his sandbox. He's working with all the different personnel he's got. And then he really goes at it and in the playoffs. And that's where I think he's got his mastery. I think about the Celtics team that almost beat LeBron James and the Cavaliers a couple of years ago. That was just good coaching. There was no Kyrie Irving there. You know, you got a young squad. But I'm curious. Brad's been there for a long time. They haven't made it to a finals yet. There's a lot of promise. Do I don't think anybody's on the hot seat yet, but I'm curious how many more years you think this can go on before a Tatum gets tired, before you're like, Brad, we need to change of pace.
Yeah, I don't think he's on the hot seat because 3 out of 4 years finals. I'm saying I think
Right.
we got to put the pressure on him to make the next step. I think if Belichick got to the AFC Championship game 3 times and didn't win, or if the Red Sox got to the ALCS 3 times and they didn't win, I think you'd hear it from those fan groups more than the Celtics. I find the Celtics on the radio, it's how great everything is, but I think they need to do a lot of things to make that next step. And the hard part about the NBA is you can be in the East Finals and you can still be light years away from winning the whole thing. Just take a look at the Celtics. They were in the Final Four, but the difference between them and the Lakers was huge. You get to the Final Four in hockey or football, you're there. Buffalo, they might not be able to beat Kansas City, but they're there. They're one of the elite teams, and it's just hard the way the league is, and how driven it is, and you have to have a top 5 player to win a championship. You look at the only championship in the last 10 years that didn't have a top 5 player was that Spurs team. I forget what year it was when they beat the Heat. Obviously, they had Tim Duncan, but he wasn't himself. But all the other winners, it's Curry, Durant, and LeBron.
Yeah, these dynasties for the past. It's always NBA is a dynasty league, right? And I agree. It's the difference between 1 and 2 or even 1 and 4 rather, is pretty significant. But we'll switch off of basketball for a second, and I want to jump to football. We're coming at the end of football season, and we can talk about the Patriots, but we'll start with Tom Brady and where you stood as a Pats fan on him winning a 7th Super Bowl ring, which is just absolutely insane. It's historic. It's one of those things where you're watching history, and I'm curious what side of the argument you stood on. Were you happy for him? Were you upset? Let's get your take.
So I think I was one of those Patriots fans. I couldn't find another person in all of New England that how I was. All year I wanted the Patriots to do better than the Bucs so badly. Like when the Bucs lost in the regular season, I was happy.
Oh yeah.
Because I wanted the Patriots, to go 10-6, win a game in the playoffs, and then Tom Brady can't win, and we're saying, hey, you should have stayed. Once the Patriots got out of it, I thought, hey, might as well, root for him. I think the 7th thing is insane because, they're comparing him to Jordan, and Jordan couldn't do that. Personally, I think you got to look at Michael Jordan and be amazed how he could win 6 championships and be a complete degenerate off the court. I don't know if you guys saw The Last Dance.
Oh yeah.
I think it was great. I think he can win another one with them. I was so happy for him, but God, I think the Patriots really got kicked in the ass seeing him win another championship. I was rooting for them a lot of the year up until they signed Antonio Brown. I just think he's kind of a bad guy, but he finally got his championship.
Yeah.
I would say in terms
he
of
caught a touchdown, and he caught a touchdown,
which
is wild. Yeah.
He's a villain. That guy is a villain, bro. Like
there's more going on with him than people think. But I think I was more mad at Gronkowski more than Brady. Here's why. I think Brady got pushed out of New England. I think Bill didn't want him here anymore. And it's kind of scary to think, like, that guy just won the Super Bowl and we didn't want him. Like, Patriots just didn't want him here. And I was more mad at Gronk because I watched his post-game interview and he said that when the Super Bowl ended last year, he knew he was done. He knew it was time to retire. However, he retired 2 weeks into free agency, and the Patriots could have signed a tight end. So in my mind, why not just tell the team you're done when you're done? I think he should have retired. Because, when a lot of players retire after a championship, it's usually a couple of days after. Like right when the parade ends. And he could have did that. And I think I was more mad about that. But yeah, I think Tampa could win another one. The only thing I hated about watching all this was there's this whole divide now. Everyone's like, are you team Bill? Are you team Tom? And I think that divide is a bit unfair. Belichick is huge. The first 2 Super Bowls Brady won, they won on a field goal. So he wasn't, the whole thing. And there's so many players the Patriots found out of, the complete blue that shined. Like, Edelman was a quarterback in college. Malcolm Butler was a Division II player before he made that play in the Super Bowl. So that's more build than Tom Brady. And, I'm happy for him. Where this puts him in terms of best athletes ever, I put him at number 2. I think he's the best of the major 4 sports, but, I'm going to go with Michael Phelps always as the best athlete ever. Here's why. I think that the fact he's got more gold medals than like 25 different countries in their whole history of the nation is borderline insane. And, swimming, you're on your own. And I'm sure Jared from his podcast can attest to that. You can't rely on your teammates. And the Olympics is every 4 years, so it's not like every year you get a rematch if you lose. So yeah, I go with Phelps at number 1, Brady number 2.
I respect that. I mean,
yeah, I do too.
This has nothing to do with that, but I did swimming lessons at the YMCA for like 5 to 7 years, and
it's hard.
and I'm a fat man, so it's tough, dude. You know what I mean? Like, at least I can swim, but like I can only imagine how difficult it is in a competition.
Yeah, the thing I look at it is like, Tom Brady and Michael Jordan, when they practice, they shoot hoops, they do drills. There's 20 different drills they can do. Tom Brady can just throw footballs and work out, do his band exercises. Like swimming, you're just swimming to practice. That's all you do. You just back and forth for miles all day. And, I don't know if you guys remember, but 2008, Michael Phelps, he went 8 for 8 in swimming, and no one will do that again. And yeah, I look at him as the best. But obviously the 4 sports, I got to go Brady.
The commonality is just complete domination, right? In the time that they were occupying their space in that sport. But I agree. It's the Olympic argument's a tough one to make sometimes, but I think you put that very well. Agreed.
I mean, like Jordan's a whole movement as well too. Like, I mean, the sneakers and everything. Like, it's more. It's a whole. It's a whole movement. It's more.
Jordan really changed the world with his brand. It's so many athletes, they strive with that. Tom Brady's got his. I think the TB12 method. It'll only be popular in New England, Tampa, Michigan, where he went to college, and maybe where he's from. But the Jordan brand. He retired almost 20 years ago, and he still sells the most shoes. No one will ever do that again. And so, yeah, I got to give credit. The Jordan brand changed the world with that. So it's a very unique.
You got people in the hood literally spending $300-$400 on Jordans every single release, every single drop, no matter where you are. Billions of dollars with Nike. You know what I mean? Like, that's legendary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you also see athletes now, like they wear the Jordan sneakers every night. Like Tatum's wearing pink Jordans. The Celtics don't have pink in their thing, but in their logo. But people will see them and they'll go buy them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Bro, I remember the Jordan Low Concord 11s that came out when I was in high school, senior year. I think like 2014 or 2015. I remember I had my SATs on the next day when the sneakers dropped, and I paid my boy to go camp out for them for me. I paid him $190. The shoes were like $160, and I gave him like $30 to just camp the night for me. And then the next day, I got the sneakers from him, and he was so beat. With the $30, he said he like ordered some food and just like got some Gatorades and just chilled like in line for the night with his other boy. And I ended up reselling those shoes for like $230 on Facebook before the marketplace existed. So I made a nice little bag on that. But it goes to show you, like, people were dying over the bread 11s, the Jordan 11s.
Do you remember the basketball player that was at PC for like a year, and he used to sell sneakers all the time? He bought like a Camaro with his money. Liam knew him. He transferred to some like Indiana school.
Oh, no.
I don't know.
Fazekas.
Oh, Ryan. Oh, Ryan Fazekas.
Oh, Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, he told me he'd sell sneakers in high school and stuff, and it's a big industry. I don't know if he did it at school, but he told me like he'd sell them all the time. He was in my management class.
Yeah, that's a big. That's like a. I mean, that's a big in the sneaker culture in general. People selling sneakers and stuff like that. $30, Mario. You paid him $30, man. You motherfucker, dude. Like that is so cheap, dude. Like I can't. And you resold them. Like damn, dude. You a
Did he
salesman.
get any of the reselling?
No,
Money
I
or-
didn't have to camp for them.
He
I
spent
just,
he spent 30. He got the 30, and he just bought like Uber Eats and like a Gatorade. Like he didn't
This
make.
is Jose. This is 2015. There was no Uber Eats. He had to like order
Well,
food and go get it, or like
well,
get it
well,
delivered.
Before
still,
the
like-
game changed.
There's no profit. Where's the profit in there for him? Like like damn. Like Jesus.
I know. I
Christ.
think
Bro, I
you
had
paid him
the SAT.
180 on top of like the shoes. No, you just.
Damn, man, that guy was show him this video. You a fool for doing that. You know what I mean?
I gotta tag them in.
Yeah, those got to be the most popular Jordans, though, right?
Yeah.
The Concords.
The 11s in general.
Yeah,
Probably the breads, the black and
Breads.
red 11s were probably the most popular. Dude, people used to get shot over those shoes, like reselling them. Like people will get stuck up, like give me your fucking shoes and give me your money too. Run them
Yes.
pockets right now.
And that
Crazy.
and a Popeye chicken sandwich too. So look how much we've progressed in a few years.
Damn, dude.
It's crazy, bro. But yeah, Jordan is a whole movement. That's not even. That's
Yeah,
a
it's
whole other
crazy.
topic. That's a whole other topic.
It's crazy.
That's another podcast.
It's a whole. I could sit here and we could sit here and actually talk about sneakers for another like 3 hours. But like, that's a different story.
Right before we get off this topic, though, so George, I got to double check this fact, but I remember Ryan at the time we were at school had the most points for a true freshman. I think it was like 12 or 13. Well, like when he like hit a bunch of threes, and then like someone leaned over was like, or they announced it, they're like the most points for a true freshman. Like, there's no way. Then he transfers the next year. Like, so he's gonna be like a nice sharpshooter from the corner that we're gonna hang on to. But
So
yeah,
I was wondering if where he'd go, like with basketball, because
Yeah.
he was the sixth man on a team that was ranked. Like, were we ranked in the top 10? Like when we were freshmen?
I think we made it to 10, and I remember like we faced off against Xavier. We hit like a pinnacle. We lost them like on a Wednesday night, but the dunk was packed. Yeah, it was a great team that year.
That's not easy to start as a true freshman on a ranked top 10 team. And like I was like, okay, this kid could easily. He got mono. He lost like 50 pounds, and he already weighed like 70. So it's like he didn't really recover.
Wait, what?
No, So I'm saying he was really skinny, and he got sick during the season.
Yeah.
And he lost like 25 pounds, and then after that, he transferred. He just didn't come back.
I was about to say my man weighing 20 pounds on the court, bro. Like what? That's
Oh,
crazy.
I'm just kidding. I'm just saying he was really skinny.
Yeah, no. Ryan Fatigue, a good friend of mine, Drew Edwards, and stuff like that. Those guys are awesome.
Drew was awesome. Yeah, I know. You can't forget Quadri. Quadri was a good.
Oh, cute.
Big Q.
Yeah, those good friends of mine. I used to play Xbox and stuff like that with those guys. Good guys. But yeah, man, that sneaker game, selling those sneakers. I remember going into the rooms and they would like have them all stack piled on the walls and stuff like that. It was crazy for sure, man.
Jose, I don't know if this applies to you, but Brandon,
Probably.
George, are we gonna make it to a Red Sox game this summer? Is we're gonna be able to be in the stands to watch? Because like that's
so.
like an all-time Boston summer activity is grabbing a beer and
I hope so. Hopefully because it's outside, maybe they can do half capacity or, who knows? Especially Massachusetts, it's tough, especially with the government. But I would love to. I was actually at that last Celtics game against the Thunder before COVID hit, and it was really weird because in front of me there were two men in hazmat suits, and everyone was like kind of making fun of them. Like, oh, what are you doing? You're overreacting to COVID. And about a week later, everything shut down. But I hope so too, man. Brandon, I know you're from Hartford. I actually went to a soccer game there last summer. DeLorean Stadium. I'm sure you heard of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they were letting fans in. It was about 60% capacity, and it was great. I've never seen a place more clean outside though. Like they really wiped it down. Like the metal on the stands was so shiny. But I hope they can bring back. As bad as I think the Red Sox are going to be, I hope they bring it back.
Wait a minute. Why doesn't that apply to me? I like going to games and getting fucked up. Like, hold on.
Jose,
Hold up.
you're more than all right. I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
No. I'm gonna let you.
The stadium's gonna be half empty.
I'll let you finish.
I'm gonna let you finish, but like, listen, man, I might not be the big. I'm gonna put that out there everywhere. I'm gonna put it down right now. I might not be the biggest sports fan in the entire world, but damn it, I love a tailgate. I love going to Fenway Park and getting a fucking Fenway Frank and the Monster Dog and putting chili cheese all over it and drinking my face off of the like $20 seats that are at the top that you stand and drink. I love everything around it. You know what I mean? My company, they got me tickets to a Bruins game. It was awesome. Like, we got like the box seats and everything. Like, don't get me wrong. When there's drinking involved and there's fun involved, I'm 100% there. I'm just not like at every single game, like analyzing every little thing. You know what I mean?
You're a fan. You're not a fanatic. That's
Exactly. Like, I'll rep it. You know what I mean? I would never rep like a Yankees jersey, like a hat or anything like that. You know, Austin's like, well, I love the Yankees and blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like,
Love the Yankees.
you know, so, but
Austin, have you ever repped New York in a Boston environment? Like, have you wore opposing into a?
So Paul LaFond used to make fun of me all the time because like we'd go to Red Sox games and I would never hear the end of it from Paul because I wouldn't like rep it hard. I had a Titleist hat. That had a Yankees logo on the side, and I remember wearing that. Actually, do you remember the game? It was a PC run event. It was the Yanks Sox game where the brawl happened, the first brawl.
I was at that game.
That was the one I repped at. That was just so much fun to go, and such a happenstance that
there's so many fights in the stands.
Oh my god, people were getting handcuffed, but like you guys weren't there. George and I were. It was people were getting handcuffed behind us. Like people were chirping left and right. Mike Paradiso was chirping some fans behind us like he was going to get taken out. It was funny, but not funny.
Austin, don't take it like personally from Ben. Like Paul would not go into Yankee Stadium wearing a Red Sox shirt in October. No, he's just you know.
Austin don't want that smoke. Don't ask him that kind of question.
No, that's just it's dangerous.
Have you? I mean, Austin's like he's pretty fit, but come on, man, look at him. He's not doing something silly like that. I wouldn't do something silly like that.
It gets out of hand at some point. And it's one thing
when you're just trying to enjoy a baseball game, right? It's like you don't want to be hearing it in your right ear the whole time. So
yeah. Exactly.
I can only see. That's the stuff that I love. I love the banter. You know what I mean? The little wave and everything. I'm down with that. You know what I mean?
He said. Ooh.
I'm down with the wave.
Sweet Caroline. Right?
I'm down. I'm down with that. You know what I mean? I'm a cheerleader. You know what I mean? I'm down with that.
Jose, so I'll apologize. I'll go back to the other point. I'll apologize for not including you on that. First round's on me when we all can go make a game at Fenway this summer.
I love that. We'll all do it together for sure. We'll get George up in there. We'll get after. And listen, at the end of the day, I do believe at this summer, June 1st, I'm marking it down right now. I think it'll begin to be some sort of normalcy. You know, will we start to wear masks and start to do shit? Correct. But I think starting this summer, it'll be the beginning of a sense of normalcy. And by September 1st, I think we'll be back in the office.
So what do you think about for stadiums those days? Do you think it's going to be like progression? Like they'll start off at 20%?
Yeah, I think so. I think I saw was Andrew Cuomo, the New York governor? He was letting people like 25% occupancy at some of the stadiums and stuff like that. So I can see the same thing happening for Massachusetts very, very soon. I mean, you got to understand, like, every month is different. You know, every month is a lot of change. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go into I've studied COVID a lot, and I look at all the phases and everything. But my best guesstimate will be by June. I think we'll start a small estimate of occupancy. I want to go to games too, guys, man. All right, I want to go to fucking games too, man. I want to. As much as you guys don't believe it, it sounds lit, you know. And listen, yo, George, I'm moving into the Hub 50 in Boston May 1st. You're always welcome. Want to go to a game? Let's get after it. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah, no, I'll be around.
Dude, his apartment, the Hub 50, is going to be right above the TD Garden, so we have to hit a Celtics game.
Oh, for sure.
You're moving into there?
Yeah. I'll be flipping patties at McDonald's for my side gig also, for my third job. But yeah, we're gonna be doing it for sure. So
that's a good spot, man. They just they changed that whole part of Boston. Like,
oh yeah.
And you really get to see it because especially if you drive by in the Zakim Bridge, you can just see that area, or if you're on Causeway Street, like that place is flipped. It's
so different now.
Yeah, they're trying to. I'm not saying they're trying to copy it, but they're trying to make like Patriot Place. Just have so much around it besides the game.
It's crazy. I know Austin. Austin's like, I know exactly what he's gonna say because Austin does like real estate or construction for the whole city of Boston. But anyway, the whole Boston North End like Causeway, like that is completely changed from what it was like years ago. It was like
Mhm.
not a dump, but like they completely like changed it. They got a banners now, they got a bar there, they got the apartments there. Like it's nuts, and we get a lot of good discounts and stuff like that with Hub 50. It's a lot of value. It's a lot of bang for your buck. Avalon's there as well too. A lot of good other housing. But yeah, dude, it's sick, dude. So for sure, if you ever want to come through, do a post game, pre game analysis, like let's fucking get after it. Austin,
Yeah.
say what you want to say because I know they're changing up South Station as well too. But go ahead, Austin, hop in.
So Jose's giving me a little more credit, but I work for a construction manager, so I kind of get a general overview of everything that's getting developed in the city, and there's just so much money in it right now between what they're building the seaport and Jose just alluded to it. They're putting actually a tower above South Station for.
I've still have yet to go to the seaport for drinks.
Oh,
Like,
we hitting Cisco's. Say less.
That's another summer activity.
guys, I'm starting to think it doesn't exist, Cisco. Like I just haven't.
Oh, it exists.
I'm denying it, like till I see it. You know, it's like.
Oh, it exists. All right, it's like a ski rink right now, but like
Yeah, no, I've seen it in everyone's Insta story at least twice by now, but I just haven't.
oh no,
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it
it
myself.
No, for sure. Come through. We'll. It's like a 10-minute walk from my apartment. Well, soon to be apartment. But dude, it's sick. Like after work, taking the
Yeah.
Green Line and then going straight to like South Station, and walking over to the seaport. Like everyone's after work, like dressed up, like
Mhm.
having beers and everything. Shout out Emily Dugan. Like it's a great time, dude. Like it's a vibe. It's a vibe. She gonna kill
Like how you just slipped that in there.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. She gonna kill me for that one.
He doesn't
but like,
miss.
but like it's so dope. Like honestly, like seeing everyone outside of college and seeing them in their real lives and like having a beer with them and stuff like that, and like not drinking a Bud Light is great. You get a little pale ale in you, like it's a vibe. Then you walk over to the landing and everything, and it's sick, dude. So we'll definitely have to take you around, and you can stay at my place if you need to.
Yeah.
And everything. Yeah.
Word. Well, I mean, we're coming close to an hour here, but George, man, this has been really fun. I've enjoyed like learning about your come up and your story. I knew a lot of it, but like you kind of got into the details of it, so it was really good. Like listening to it, seeing your process, and my favorite part, honestly, was talking about the Boston sports, like the Celtics and stuff like that. So, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, no, this was fun, guys. As I was a little nervous before, not gonna lie. It's like I've always been the interviewer. This is a bit of a role reverse, but it was awesome. I'll definitely, reshare it whenever you guys release it. But it was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I actually have one personal question I'd like to ask before we like sign off here.
Yeah.
How do you? This is a personal before my laptop dies and we lag out and all this stuff. But how do you? This is a personal question I've always had, and like as a creative, I think you understand this. And how do you deal with negativity? How do you deal with when people tell you no, or how do you deal with like just everything thrown at you in your life? Because I don't have to say, but like just knowing you as a person, like, and I and myself, I've dealt with a lot. I've taken over 100 L's in my life. How do you deal with that negativity in your life, and how do you get back up every single time and not give a fuck about what anyone has to say after that?
Well, I go off of the former actually Celtics coach Doc Rivers. He always says next play. You can't think about what happened last because it's just going to log in your head for so long, and you got to move on. But it happens. People think the show is really great, but there are negative parts. A lot of people turning it down, and I forget who said it to me. They just said there's billions of people out there. Someone's going to come on the show. You'll find someone. So I think that's it. You just kind of got to take it in for a little bit and then just move on.
Just take it on the chin and just move on. I'm kind of a whiny princess, so it's hard for me to take it on the chin sometimes. But I'm glad that that's all it is, because there's gonna be a lot of people that look at this interview, whether it's now or 100 years from now, whenever, that are gonna look at this one day, that are 12 years old, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. I look at this and be like, how do I deal with something that I'm going through, and like how do I move forward from that? So next play, man, get back up, because a lot of people, that's what life is about. You fall, but not a lot of people get back up after that. So I think that's a really good message.
Yeah, and I think it definitely was. I think it was more so hard in the beginning. with the show. I think because, like I said, how it got turned down by the school's TV network. That was really hard because then I thought I couldn't make it at school. You know, I gotta say thanks again to Liam for that idea. It really changed it. And once one interview started, the first interview was with Colin Miller, who was the soccer goalie. We're close friends. And after that, it was Coach Lehman, the hockey coach. And I figured once I was able to get him on at school, I could get anyone at school. It's just been a constant ball rolling that never stopped, and hopefully I can keep it going.
For sure. Yo, shout out Coach Lehman too, man. He came out for Friars Weekend one time in the summer and stuff like that. I drove him in this. It's a whole story, but I drove him in like this golf cart, and it was crazy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Shout out Coach Lehman, man. He gave me a hat and everything. Well, I'm supposed to get a hat, but that guy's a GOAT for sure. I love that dude.
It was great what he did with It was great what he did with Team USA. I don't know if you saw it. They won the World Junior Championships, which is it's a tournament for it's an international tournament for players in between ages 18 and 20, and he won the gold medal as the coach. So that was awesome to see. And it was great that Just Say Guay was tied to it in a way.
There you go.
So,
history in the making. Austin, what'd you say? What was your smart aleck comment that you said over there?
Yo, you run Friars Club or something? Driving around golf carts on campus?
Hey, man, he needed a ride somewhere, and I gave it to him, and everyone told me, no, I'm going to say, that's my guy, I'm going to do it, and he did, you know what I mean? And everyone loved me for it, and it was the GOAT, you know what I mean? So that's all that matters. But, yo, I appreciate it, George. Thank you for doing this.
This is awesome, guys.
Thank you for doing that. We believe in you. We wish you much luck, prosperity, love, happiness. We always here as a team to support you. We appreciate you and everything you do, bro. You keep grinding, and I promise we won't stop grinding. We're going to make this shit together. Yo, Barbara, do the outro.
All right, man. George has been real. Past hour has been relatable most of all. But until next time, we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch, guys. Thanks again.
All right, man.
Sure. Hold on. Say the call. That's just the outro. This is the outro. Stop recording. We can talk after. Yeah.